Afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Vibha. I'm part of the GSC leadership team, and welcome to our Spring 2026 seminar series. And features Dr. Morshed Khandaker, and we are really excited to have you all here. So, I'd just like to briefly introduce the graduate student community or GSC. We are a student-led organization focused on supporting graduate students through academic, professional, and social initiatives. And this slide shows our leadership team for this academic year, like who help organize events, and build connections and support graduate community. So we have our chairs as Rodney and Samuel. The publicity team has Avinash, Ahmad, and Swapnil. The co-treasurers are Siavash and Anshu. And then we have our support team, which has Zareen, Roshan, Rachel, Suramya, me, and Narayan. And our mentor, of course, is Dr. Farooq Mistry. And then we hold regular meetings. They are weekly, typically on Wednesdays, 6 p.m. on Zoom. And we also vote to decide like each semester how many people are available at what time as per their convenience. And if you have any questions about the meetings, please contact Samuel or Rodney or like for meeting link. And you can join us on Engage. Here is the QR code to join us on Engage. Engage is the community platform for OU, and it's joining is very easy. You can just log in with your OU ID and click join. You can also be our member on LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn page, and this is the QR code to join us on LinkedIn. I'll just give you a second in case someone wants to join the LinkedIn. Um, all right, moving ahead. We also are on Facebook and Instagram, and these are our QR codes for that. Yeah, we have pages on Facebook and Instagram. All right. We also have our YouTube account, and we post our webinars there in case you have missed a webinar or would like to revisit one. We upload them there, and we also have the QR code join. Okay, moving ahead, so we offer some resources for the students, and one of the resources we offer is the Dave and Susan Bird Team Room, which is available for GSC members. It includes seating, whiteboard, and like basic facilities for like quiet study or collaborating. And you can reach out to us if you'd like access to it. And a quick reminder, Google Form link will be posted in chat shortly. This ensures attendance so that uh, yeah, we can see all the enthusiasm recorded and be able to do this in the future. Moving on, as a part of our spring seminar series, we are focused on exploring research frontiers in AI, generative AI. And this series brings together speakers from academia and industry to discuss how AI is shaping research, innovation, and real world applications. We aim to explore not only like technical achievements, but also how technologies can be applied responsibly, like as the field is growing and across different domains. Uh, the experience of our speakers teaches how to do that. We have a lot of exciting seminars coming up. And we hope that you can join us for these as well. And this slide shows our upcoming webinars. So, moving on to today's session, It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Dr. Morshed Khandaker. Dr. Khandaker is a professor of mechanical engineering at the University of Central Oklahoma, where he also serves as the director of Nanosystems Research Lab. He's also affiliated as a visiting scientist with Harvard Medical School's Foot and Ankle Research Innovation Lab. His research focuses on development of advanced nanofiber materials, smart sensing tech, particularly through electrospun systems, which has applications in healthcare, food safety, environmental filtration, and defense. He has led multiple federally and state-funded research projects and several patents in nanofiber, technological, and sensing systems, and translational innovation to develop practical real-world detection platforms. In today's talk, he will discuss how of portable sensing tech for real-time detection analysis. We are very excited to have you here, Dr. Khandaker. And please join me in welcoming him. And I would now pass on the floor to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Let me share my screen. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me get my share. Okay, good. Okay. Can you see the screen? Let me make it. Okay. Thank you again, Viva, for the introduction, and particularly Dr. Mistry, for inviting me for this, presentation, which I think, is a very, you know, this presentation slide I'm planning to use, in future, because whenever this idea came, actually, this looks like the trend for, next coming decade. That means to update my research, particularly in the field of AI. Uh, so again, my research, as says, they say electrospun nanofiber, but try to actually also using that fiber to make a smart sensing device, and try to apply it in a different kinds of field. That's in my presentation I'm going to discuss. But before actually moving towards that, let me introduce myself briefly. So mainly my background is in academic field, not much industrial experience. So I graduated from Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology, and then mainly I was in Texas for 7 years, finishing my master's, PhD, and also did couple of internship during my study over there. So then I just joined after graduation Texas for full-time instructor for a year, and then actually directly I joined at UCO. So last 18 years I have been, I think it's 18 years I have been here. So I'm right now full professor, and after actually 2018, I am also trying to make my life a little bit interesting and try to whatever the research I try to do also do entrepreneurship, to make those research or R&D work that I did. I try to put it in the marketplace. So mainly, my research is focused on application of this nanofiber, which is looks like a tissue kinds of material, and but it consists of a fiber diameter that is nanometer range. That's why it called nanofibers. So again, my research actually, till the joining, at UCO2 till now is actually in the medical field, how to use this, think about the tissue paper, how to convert it so that I can use it for the different kinds of biomedical purpose. So again, I converted those nanofiber fabrics to a, right now my current project is I converted to a just graft, bone graft, a long bone, means it's a more than 2 centimeter long, and I just replace with the bone. So, and also there is an application for these, for a, bandage, skin graft, and cartilage and a lot of other things, So these are actually I highlighted these because these are the funded projects, so that I actually I have a product regarding that. So that's the main reason. That means uh, I just highlighted only, but there are a lot of other works there that I did. So now the my entrepreneurial interest actually particularly uh, is in the use of this nanofiber in just try to align with this presentation. I'm going to just focus on my discussion to develop a sensor system or control system for different kinds of application or sectors. So those sectors, you are going to see that it's based upon a need, current need. That need is coming from the medical sector, air, food, uh, uh, air, and also some structural issue. That means currently the industries are facing in defense. So again, why I'm working on the, what is the motivation, current motivation for developing that smart control and sensing device based upon nanofiber is, for example, in the medical purpose. So one of the issue that means right now, think about the ulcer, and so in case of for diabetic patients, if you have a foot ulcer, very quickly is actually it can lead to a gangrene. Okay, so if there is any kinds of device, particularly through bandage, if you can detect that, that is going to be have a very sound impact in medical field. So all there is a need for that, by the way. That's the lead to that. And also, for example, a brain injury, deep penetrating brain injury. So typically, currently, gauge and jail kinds of things, as soon as it happens in the, just put that thing to stop the bleeding. But again, there is a new, sometimes, we need to detect, that means, is there any kinds of pressure or some other, pathogens or bacterials infection is over there or not. So if we can detect that, that would be great. So another applications is in the food sector. We just, whenever we eat food, sometimes, particularly in the globally, due to the temperature variation or something, quickly a food can get bad. And whenever we eat those contaminated food, we have a disease, foodborne diseases. So if we can detect those things, by a handheld device, spectroscopy, with a sensing material, that would be, that can is, it is eatable. That means we call it edible nanofiber, sensing device. Then that would be great. So again, another application that is the, nanofiber is that, in the air. And again, particularly I'm looking for, small sources, like, in the hospital dental filling. So there is a high concentration of VOC, volatile, which is toxic chemical, actually generated in the air. And whenever you breathe it, there's actually, somebody creates a, allergic reactions. Also, it's not, Oklahoma air is clean, but think about, globally, in a highly dense population like in Bangladesh or India, where in the road you are continuously exposed to by the, toxic air. So again, a smart device that can actually detect those, uh, uh, you know, and then, alert it. There is a benefit for that, or there is a societal need for that. And finally, in again, catastrophic failure is occurring in a structure. Right now, no new kinds of material is introduced in the building and structure. So if we can, and that sometimes, sounds good, but sometimes, if we can have a loading history of those structure before it leads to the catastrophic failure, there is interest, particularly in the composite field. So all those things, actually, whenever I was given with this presentation, with this framework, I think it's called Evolving Cyber, Physical, and Social System Framework, I see that making a device, a sensing or controlling device with a AI generative, that can be actually falls into that whole, the components of this systems or framework. And I see that very specific framework like a physical system, cyber system, social system, and the entrepreneurship uh, work that I actually doing last 5 to 4 years, actually directly actually is integrating all these components together. And in my presentation from now on, you are going to see that means how actually we integrate it, with these three components together. So again, in my, right now the physical layer, it has a consist of the uh, a machine. That means the, and we call it ENF. ENF stands for electrospun nanofiber machine. That actually produce the member. Membrane means the sensing material. In our case, it's just a cloth or fabrics, or it can be have a scalable size and or shape. Here you are seeing two different shapes there, and then a sensing system like a spectroscopy that can actually work with this or talk with these fabrics. So again, these three, it starts with the machine. So again, it this machine is built on a technology called ENF, electrospun nanofiber technology, where actually is a polymer solution, and that solution can be different kinds of polymer solution. It is passed through a needle with a high voltage, and that voltage actually generates heat, and with the pressure coming from the syringe is actually produce the nanofiber, and you can collect. This is one of the cheapest way you can produce a fabrics. Now, what is the challenge is that here there is a putting them together to make a machine that you can, that there is a commercial entrepreneurship value for that. And what we did is that we developed different kinds of scalable machines. For example, you can see one of the machine at the top, which is called ENA Portable, which is a portable machine you can move to any labs, even in the lab. And then we have a machine that produce a machine that can actually produce a single material membrane fiber. We have a machine that can do multiple layer fiber. We can have a machine that a single material that is a hollow. Hollow means inside one material and the outside is another material. So we call it coaxial nanofiber. So there are different kinds of machining. Actually, innovation can be possible. What is the output goal? Is to just produce a fabric with different kinds of property, and that fabrics again. We can actually introduce different kinds of nanoparticles there, which has a sensing characteristics. So again, in this picture, you can see that these are the just nanofiber, and inside there are some kinds of sensing nanoparticle they are embedded with it. So, and again, what's the why you can just say that okay, there is already a lot of nanoparticle like a copper, gold has a sensing capability. We can directly use that. But again, the beauty of these nanofiber things is gold, copper, those are the film. That means those are rigid, But here you are making nanofiber, which is a flexible. So again, this is a technology that means sensing technology that means you are getting here is a flexible nanofiber things, and also it has a lot of surface area, better than the thin film and sensing technology. And again, last thing is that it can have a tunable chemistry. That means you can actually change the concentration and other things, and you can have a variable sensing capability. So again, this is the nanofiber. It has been almost 30 to 40 years old research, and then a lot of sensing material is already developed. This flexible sensing material is already developed in different kinds of field. It can be used for gas, optical, pressure sensors, strain sensor, and all of these things. And particularly in my presentation, I'm going to show you only the sensor that I particularly developed in my lab. Again, we use nanofiber to actually produce some kinds of flexible sensing membrane in our lab. So this is one of these, that means, in the picture you can see it's a strain sensor. So where actually what we did is a specific polymer blend with a nanoparticle embedded over there that is sensitive to particularly pressure. Okay. So here, what is the challenge for that? That means, again, you have to have finding a suitable selective material that, and also you have to know the sensing technology. So here, this sensing material, that means we are doing is a optical sensor. So it needs to be based upon, whenever this sensing nanofiber is actually pulling, it changes the optical property, and it can sense the strain or pressure that is on the body. Whenever, if you just for example, if you place that object in a another object or inside the composite, then it should show you the stress strain uh, characteristics. So now let's talk about the spectroscopy. So that means right now, why we need nanofiber and spectroscopy together. Because again, it is nothing. This spectroscopy is mainly we need it so that we can have a you know it's in a sense portable. So in field, if you want to get some information, we don't want to send the sample to somewhere and do the analysis. If we can have is that sensing system is done portable in a handhold or inside the in the field, that will have a huge value. It will save cost, it will save time, and also it is going to be immediate reaction as we can get it. So that's the part of the spectroscopy. The spectroscopy is nothing but the device that can measure signals from this sensing material. Now, each self-sensing material, as I told you, that means currently sensing material is wired based, and it is, sometimes, that rigidity of the sensor creates a lot of issues, so it's uncomfortable, one of this case. So again, if we can replace by the flexible sensor, there is a value for that. So now another issue right now, that's where you are going to see that a cyber layer comes, that we don't want to only measure it. We don't want to measure the strain, pressure, and all those things. We want to actually predict that, because of these sensing things, whether this material or something like that is going to fail or not, or if there is a presence of bacteria, or if there, they are, we need to predict that system. So for which, what we currently do, we just send the sample to somewhere, and they have some kinds of very expensive machine, and they do that thing like that way. And again, I have a classic example, later on I'm going to show you. But the issue is that it is, current systems are based upon a, we call single modal analysis. Like it is a, at a current, or we call in mechanically static case. Static means in a, its current is some circumstances, it is a one temperature, one ingredients, you can measure the property. But if you have a continuous system, I think the currents, this expensive way to measure and detect it is, that's the shift try to do. That means how we can dynamically actually get the data from a field, and we can analyze it, and we can predict it, and if we need to control it, that's the technology shift is right now going, and AI actually opens the door for it, and actually specifically generative AI is opens that door. So that's actually main motivation, for us in future. Currently, we are just focusing on just building a spectroscopy portable that we can just measure it. Again, this is my current goal. But whenever this presentation topic was presented to me, actually it opens a new door for me, because hey, how about the same sensor material or spectroscopy that we are trying to develop right now, whether we can actually broaden the scope, okay, to have not only uh, do the measurement, why not we just do the prediction? And also we are, whether we can do something using our product, we can actually control it, okay. And again, I'm going to show you those things, and my area of concentration right now is medical, food, and environment. These are the some of the case studies I'm going to show you, based upon how the smart material can be changed to a product that can lead to a, generate some benefits to the current, solving some of these problems, which I call it as a service. So our main goal is to the device that we are trying to do is mainly, it needs to have a it's a handhold. So so that means a single material you can move to the different places to get the data. It is instant. It's not, you don't need to send a sample to somewhere else, get the analysis data. It can be applied to different field. So it can be applied for the food, filter, and medical, all over areas. Again, it is going to be a real monitoring system, and it's a scalable. Scalable means it's not, the sample that you can use a small sample to bigger sample any or any days, time, period, and all those things. I call it as a scalable. So so here is these are the three things. That means currently we saw that the nanofiber is right now the one that means we are designing. This my this nanofiber is actually sensitive to gas. That means if we design a sensing material, it actually can be reactive to a gas. And the gas that means we are talking about is a toxic gas, definitely, because what is the purpose of toxic gases can clean the air. And also this sensor, that means it has a whenever it uh, react with a pathogen, it can be airborne pathogen or it can be foodborne pathogen or clinical pathogen, it will change some kinds of reactive agents, and then it optical property got changed, or chemical reaction will happen. So chemical property like a pH and other things will get changed and color will change like that. And again, the spectroscopy can detect that. So that is the some of the example in feature. But again, this is the technology behind it. That means if there is a nanoparticles or some kinds of even without nanoparticle, if the nanofiber is itself is sensitive to those kinds of foreign materials. Here, foreign material is a gas or pathogens and other contaminants in case of chemical sensor, that it is going to change its self properties. So again, spectroscopy here it comes mainly you know those kinds of changes. That means whenever it is in different temperature or different contaminated environment, it will change some signals, and spectroscopy is going to be sensitive enough to get those signals. And then it is going to be mainly three parts there. So right now, actually, currently, traditionally, all this spectroscopy that is developed there, what we do particularly is that we send a sample to them, and they have a like a LCMS or GCMS, those mass spectroscopy. They can actually highly detect that, okay, I have a sample that is in the exposed to that toxic air, and I have another sample that is not exposed to. It can easily detect immediately, but it is what is for one particular circumstances. It is not a time dependent. It's just a specific time, specific environment. If a specific temperature, we are getting the value. At the same time, this spectroscopy, again, MCM, I personally doesn't know how to use that. So I send a sample, expert people do the analysis, and they give me data. It's expensive also. So that's our current limitation. Current spectroscopy or current environment, it is there. So again, if that the knowledge of the people, if we can have a AI spectroscopy, if we can embed the AI model there, and it can actually predict that, hey, there is a presence of from the data automatically. Right now it's required a manpower to do that, but if all this AI algorithm, if we can detect that, that's actually the interpretation. Even currently existing spectroscopy, there is a train they are doing that. And also the handheld spectroscopy that we are trying to develop in future, we try to add that so that we can interpret the data. Not only that, we are also, after the interpreting data with the a generative AI algorithm, we want to actually um, predict. That means, okay, right now this data I generated with that certain temperature, that certain environment, but if it lead to another environment, another condition, what will happen? I think with this generative AI model, we can do that. And then if say that, okay, it will be bad for you know for our current system where this my sensing material is going to be embedded. If we can change that, we can give an action regarding that. So that's all those things actually we can do with generative AI platform. So let's see now this spectroscopy. Currently in my lab, we are trying to use, which is very expensive right now, which is large, and which is only in a NRI is not large, but again all are currently commercially available, expensive one. That means we tried to we used for getting the data that I'm going to show you in future. One of them is terahertz spectroscopy, and they work in a different bandwidth range. Another is microwave spectroscopy, and another is NRI spectroscopy technique. Again, our goal is to go all of this system to a handle system, so that we don't need to send the sample to a research center or lab to do our analysis. It needs to be terahertz or microwave or NRI spectroscopy. We want to make it portable, and that so that we can detect and even predict, and also taking action from our action means it is going to tell us, that means what to do. If you are exposing that, some kinds of prediction, it is going to tell that. So again, this is the platform, that means we try to, or pipeline, or research pipeline, that means we try to do. Currently, all what we have is that sensor. So whenever we are going to develop our sensor-based platform, we are going to be aware of that. We are going to capture the data. We are going to develop a AI model, and that AI model will be capable of decision making, and is going to do an action accordingly. So that's how the cyber layer is coming. And again, this layer is all our virtual. That's the direction of research nest. Right now we are in the spectroscopy. You can see, if you go online, you'll see that right now AI embedded NRI spectrum. Already people are doing research. So lots of spectroscopy company are right now investing a lot of money, and lots of research grant is actually, NSF, NIH is actually funding to just develop these kinds of AI embedded spectroscopy, which can do the prediction. Again, it is limited to the prediction, not control. Again, and I'm going to show, see that means, with my nanofiber technology, we can not only do the prediction, we can actually taking an action, that means control. That's the actually this CPAS, that this time framework, that means you guys are, I need to make the presentation. Actually, it only fits with our nanofiber based spectroscopy system. So let's see the components. Oh, by the way, the components are mainly data input. It will, all this spectroscopy will work. If the first thing is the data input, and that it will be integrated with the AI model, and then finally it will have a provide the output that can be used for controlling. So again, there are three environment we are going to, I'm going to discuss. One is the toxic environment we created. So the gas, that means here is a VOC, one kinds of, which is formaldehyde. We generated that, and our sensor, nanofiber sensor, is embedded over here, and we put this spectroscopy there to try to see whether it can generate the data with continuous time or not. Another is, this is a terahertz based spectroscopy with our nanofiber. You can see over here nanofiber, and we put this nanofiber in a we put that nanofiber in a mechanical system, and we just pull it, and we try to actually use our terahertz system. By the way, this terahertz system or this NRS, both are very expensive. Okay, and terahertz, the last one is the microwave system that right now we are using. Is a benchtop, and where we try to see that food ripening effect, and it is work with a dielectric property of this food, which is changing the permittivity and permeability factors, and it actually from those dielectric property, it is actually sensing those things. So again, these are the three different technology. That means, again, what's the purpose for all that? We try to get a dynamic data, not a static data, continuous data. So this microscope has a embedded capability of storing all this data, and so those data, actually you can see, that means we can give it to the cyber system, and also we can actually predict, that means whether the data, that means getting using the system, if there is a, for example, we send the same sample, also the LCMS analysis, but those analysis is actually a specific point. It's not a time continuous, where you can see that this representation is that from our spectroscopy we can get a time dependent, time variant data, whereas here it is just a discrete data points we are getting from a very expensive system. And again, all the data we can actually put it our cyber AI or AI system, and actually we can not only calibrate our spectroscopy data with our most expensive data for some point, But those data point actually it can be with our AI model we can predict it now because and that can be lead to our generative model. So as you see that whenever I talk about that, uh, whenever we will have all this data that is coming from this system uh, to our algorithm, we will have in our we can predict. Typically, that prediction is done by now. I told you before that some expertise. But if we have a AI model already inbuilt in our spectroscopy system, that prediction job is also can be done by our spectroscopy. Control part, I'm going to give you an example in my next slide with my case study. So think about it. So right now, as I told you in my previous picture, I have experimental setup where actually what we did with our NRI spectroscopy with our nanofiber based VOC sensor, we actually can get some variable time dependent data. So here actually you can see clearly one of the sample, which is the blue color, that's actually just our nanofiber and that is exposed to normal air. And another is the just nanofiber that is exposed to a toxic air. And immediately with our NRI system that we developed, we actually can see the data variation between them. And again, that data is right now is a dynamic data. It's a time dependent data. Better than that, the data that means if I just send the sample to the lab to do LCMS analysis, it can also say that there is a presence of toxic air, but it's going to be only a particular discrete data. So here we are getting a data again, it's a time variant data versus but again, I'm not saying that that data that means I'm getting from the expensive analysis from LCMS analysis is bad. Those are actually the data we can verify. We can actually twin our model for making the highly accurate AI models. Now, what's the application? The application is that air purifier, a smart air purifier. There is and we try to actually start building that air purifier in our lab through commercial funded projects, where you can actually put that device inside your car, and with the embedded spectroscopy, it can actually tell you that means whether you are exposed to with the inbuilt AI model, it can tell you whether there is exposure of the formaldehyde gas in the air or not. Now, where is the I put now controlling there. So if you uh, if there is a presence of formaldehyde, for example, inside your car or some other volatile gas, automatically it will turn on this air purifying system, and it is embedded with a nanofiber based filter, and it can actually clean the air inside the, for example, inside your car. If by somehow you got a volatile gas, and it detect that, and then it can turn on the system, and it is going to be actually the clean the air inside the car. So that's how that control system is coming, which I without an example I cannot show you the before. But so the next example in the food sector that means we are doing is right now we are just trying to see that means the food with time with our microwave spectroscopy, which is a dielectric property based. We see that means whether repeating is occurring or not. Okay. So but our main direction is actually try to see that means in a food whether there is a pathogen grow working or not using a spectroscopy. So we have a microwave spectroscopy benchtop there, and we can see actually it's actually different layer has a different kinds of dielectric property is nothing is it based upon the moisture content of this. And that in a whenever a fruit or fruits got old, the amount of moisture content in different layer is getting changed. And again, if you can see that left hand side image, it can actually clearly showing there is a variation with respect to time about that. Again, this microwave spectroscopy actually absorbing all this data in different complex data form plan, pl uh, different kinds of data, and but it can store it in a cyberspace. And then again, it is a time dependent data, and those data actually can be used to predict it. And then the control part comes because remember a food package comes with typically if you go to market it will comes with an absorbent pad and wrap. So if we have a embedded material with our nanofiber there. We can just tell, we can actually put some kinds of antibacterial agent or something because that's our direction. We can actually control it. So again, with our spectroscopy and nanofiber all together, we actually not only able to predict that there might be a presence, but we can also trigger or we can design our pad on wrap that is actually typically used for making the food lasting longer. uh, we can actually design accordingly. So there is application for this thing in a food industry. Finally, is that as I told you, that means nanofiber, whenever you pull it, it is sensitive, its optical property got changed, and again we can put it inside the composite material, for example, aeroplane structure, and then with our spectroscopy, it can actually shows that load history diagram with respect to time, and then with our AI model, we can actually predict how long it can survive before there is a catastrophic failure. In the medical sector, we can design our bandage accordingly. From the nanofibers sensor data, we can actually see whenever the pathogen growth is occurring, and then we can actually put our bandage with a antibacterial agent, and then we can control it. So again, with a nanofiber based that sensing plus wound care product, we can actually, and also spectroscopy, we can actually close the loop of this, not only the detection, we can also prevent it uh, uh, through the help of the spectroscopy. So for the last layer, which is the social layer, where we try to see actually combine them together, and that's where the entrepreneurship activities is actually playing the picture, and because it needs lots of collaboration from the different partners. So and entrepreneurship is one of the mechanisms that can actually build that link. So again, whenever there is a three main category I identify that most of this, problem that at the end of the time, it needs to be used by somebody. Okay, so for example, whenever I try to develop all of these products, I try to see, that means, where it can, in case of nanofiber based sensor or with spectroscopy, where it can be used. It can be used for aerospace and defense industry, for structural health monitoring, for the VOC sensor or the spectroscopy handle. Where can it be for monitoring, air quality, and then also safety for the individuals. There's going to be benefit. So the specific bandage or wound care product, that means we try to develop like a with our sensor embedded there. It is can be used in the rural Oklahoma in the field by the first responder, so that they will know, that means, hey, whether already there is a pathogen growth happening inside the wound or not, and then send the information to the main clinic. And again, food, I just say that, okay, it can actually having the same application. That means it can be detected the disease, the foodborne pathogens inside the food. So again, it needs a lot of collaboration. So for which, because one independent institute cannot do that. So there, for my case, I collaborate with lots of different universities, research lab, and again, ultimately, this research, that means we are doing, it is regulated by some kinds of policies, ICOC, FDA, and other things. So you cannot design a sensor whether that is going to be the material, that means you are developing, is going to be toxic or not. We need to check those things. So there are a lot of regulatory compliance we need to maintain, uh, and so and finally the entrepreneurship is coming. That means not only the federal, there is also lots of business whenever you are developing a product that is going to be directly used by the customers. There are a lot of private investment opportunities over there, so to develop some products such that. So again, there is whenever you develop these kinds of smart system, actually there is a social benefit and economic benefit involved there, and entrepreneurship can actually act as a tool to integrate all of this together. for example, in the societal, for my research particularly, if I able to develop such a system, it can do early pathogen detection, early some kinds of health kinds of air quality. Think about that, there is every summer there is a wildfire there in Canada, and they have a concern about the health risk due to the air contamination. So we can actually predict that. That means if Canada, there is a fire there, what that is going to impact in, for example, North Carolina or in New York, those areas. So also food adulteration is one of the major problem in globally. So they put lots of toxic contaminants in the food. So if we can detect that when before eating by a general customers, so that's another benefit, these kinds of foods quality sensor can give. So again, all of this comes with a huge money. So any kinds of food sensor, if you all go online, safety, and there is a huge billion-dollar market for those. Not only market, there is also societal benefit, and so there is a both economic and societal benefit is involved there. And again, at the end of the day, whenever we do research, if it doesn't contribute to the social and to improving the social economic benefit or social benefit, I think there's we need to pay attention about that. With that, I am going to just actually try to make less technology oriented as possible. Try to show a lot of application about how sensing, these kinds of smart sensing device or material, if we can develop, which is right now my current research theme, how it can benefit the society through my entrepreneurship and regular academic and research and other activities. Again, if you have any specific question, and I saw that Dr. Mistry is joining, from the bed. So, and thank you very much for actually for giving me opportunity. Because actually it gives me a rethink about how to put our my R&D for the next 10 years, because AI is the next. If we cannot adapt my R&D in AI, I think I will not be up to date. So I think thank you for giving me opportunity for translate, I will say, my research topic to an generative AI. So this is actually giving me a very good directions for the next 10 years.
Thank you so much for the insightful talk, Dr. Khandaker. And I know that you have to leave shortly, but I would still like open the floor if anyone has any questions, want to like share their experience with Dr. Khandaker if it resonates with his talk. And quickly, I will like to say I really like how you like integrated generative AI with like nanofiber materials, and how you know that it is like going to grow exponentially. Um, so yeah, I believe that's the field to be in.
Looks like Dr. Mystery has his hand up.
Yes, please, Dr. Mystery, go ahead. Um,
You're muted, sir.
yeah, you're muted.
Okay. What you presented today, I think, is fantastic in terms of the vision. And let me tell you some of the themes, technical themes that come up, and some of the themes that haven't come across to me. One of the things you brought up is this notion of mass customization. So in terms of the product, you have to think in terms of how can you come up with products that can be mass customized. What does that mean? If you're looking at healthcare, there'll be certain products that you have. What is at the core of that then you can use that healthcare stuff in manufacturing, et cetera, et cetera. So coming up with a mapping of what these smart products are going to do, I think is critical. Because what you've said is you could do anything. And I buy that long term. But to have a research program, it needs to be focused and you go step by step. So the first thing is to think in terms of mass customization, in terms of the product. In terms of the process, what you're coming up with is a foundational model. a foundational model that can be applied in different domains. So you have indicated some elements of this, but this needs to come together. And what is needed there is something called a function structure. Now, how does that come about? Because when you look at technology, smart technology is represented in terms of matter, energy, and information. So what is the matter, energy, and information that you need for your smart products? So those are the two lines that I think are critical for you to come together in terms of setting it up from the technical side and the process side. The third thing, which is very important, is it seems that you want to go from laboratory into translation very quickly. I don't think you can do that or should be thinking about that. What we need to think in terms of is what is the basic research required that will then allow us to do applied research and then translate it. Now, the NASA readiness thing's working very nicely. If you look at 1, 2, and 3 for NASA readiness, that's basic research. If you look at 3, 4, and 5, that is applied research. If you look at 6, 7, 8, or 6, 7, 8, 9, that is translation. And so if you're interested in making this happen, you have to come along and say, all right, when I have all these collaborations with Harvard, et cetera, which portion are you going to focus on? If you try and do all three of them, you will get nowhere. If you focus just on basic with the idea that you can go into applied and translation, it makes sense. So those are the three main comments that I have for you in terms of structuring your research program for the next 10 years.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mr. Yes, I already have a focus area right now. Those are mainly what I just today presented. All of my collaborators in different discipline. Some of them coming from the food area, some of them coming from the those are the things. That's why since I try to this is the audience is mainly try to see different application. That's why I just presented it. Yes, I have a focused area. Particularly, I'm working in the medical area. So because this is my core area, so I am actually particularly focused on developing a clinical pathogen indication using my spectroscopy.
But you see, then you're talking about the product.
Yeah, and the research is basic material is that a material design a material that is actually going to be reactive with the pathogen, specifically clinical pathogens. So that's the basic research.
Yes, but you're talking about a product. What to be able to integrate these things long term, you're going to need a process. And what each of these people is going to do, because you're talking about 10 years. In 10 years' time, this product is going to be done. You'll have to do something else. So what I'm saying is if you take a product focus and deal with it, fine. But what I'm talking about is what you're providing is a service. Mm-hmm. So you're providing a service in the first case for the medical side, healthcare.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Then you could say, all right, in the healthcare thing, there's an element of manufacturing. I can provide a service in manufacturing. Aha, I can do that. Then, I can do that for self-driving cars. Because what is common, what you're looking for here and what generative AI allows us to do is to figure out what is common. And then work on a broad front to say, all right, Harvard is going to do this. OCI is going to do this. You, wherever you are based, is going to do this. And that way you have a quilt that you can progress on in depth and also in breadth. Too many people, and one of the problems out here is you're focused on the product. Let me give you an example. The federal government put in a huge amount of money in bringing the cost of hydrogen down. Okay, now it's gone. Why? Because they did not think in terms of the infrastructure needed to actually use the hydrogen. Do you follow? So it goes, when you go into translation research, you have to think in terms of the infrastructure. You have to think in terms of the ecosystem. And if you don't do that, you're a one-horse thing. You just do it, and then you go along to another product and another product. That does not advance the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand. So yeah, definitely, I'll pay attention about that. And I right now I think the research because it's mine is application oriented research. So with a specifically, if you just, say that, what is my right now, what I'm just using my, you know, is mainly, again, you can say that, okay, this is a product, but that's what my, because we need to survive by funding, I have to, develop a specific product using a nanofiber, particularly for the bone graft area. That's my focus. So this is the, some of the research that I just presented today is mainly coming from what is the application of this technology. But if you say, okay, what's my focus area? Again, it's a, uh, it's mainly,
Okay. So
material
we
area.
can take this offline. I'll invite others to talk about it.
Thank you.
Nathan, I think you would have something to say about this based on your interest.
Nathan left, but he did have a question. I can see it in the chat. That he wanted to ask Dr. Khandaker that it was similar question as to yours, Dr. Mistry, that what are the biggest challenges to mass production?
Yeah, so the mass production mainly, as I told you, that means ultimately the nanofiber embedded bandage. That's the means, mass production of this. That's how, what is the manufacturing technique, that means you can, and there are a lot of factors is over there, sterilizing, because it's a FDA approval, so all those things, that means I put it in a, social that layer, last layer is actually embedded over there, all this compliance and all those things, manufacturing of part, scalable things, maintaining all those compliance. That's the biggest challenge right now. People actually, there is all in the lab, they produce a, sensor and embedded band is already there, but you don't see it in the market. The main issue is that that ingredients, that means how you can actually have scalable format produce these things. That's, yeah, already all of most of the basic research about that thing, I can say that it is, if you, what, you can find it, it is there.
Prakash may have something to add to this.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Farooq. Thank you, first of all, to have this, such a motivator for us to participate in whatever is the condition. So, it's very unusual to see you participating with that condition in which you are. Anyway, wish you all the best to recover. And Morshed, thank you very much for a nice presentation. It's interesting. I just wanted to share that I work in the area of nano material particles. So it's actually nanoparticles in denture and sleep appliances. So we have an NSERC project. NSERC is National Scientific and Engineering Research Council of Canada, equivalent to DST, you can say. So we have a 3-year project, and we are doing some work on that, including nanomaterial particles into implants. So I saw one of your slides in which there's an implant you show. So maybe there's some opportunities to collaborate, and we will get in touch offline regarding that later.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
Thank you.
that is we have actually currently a technology, because we produce the nanofiber in our lab, and right now, if you said, okay, what is my current funded project in NIH, is that actually we are actually producing this nanofiber in a graft that can go to the body. So, and also we have a parallelly another project, that means we are detection of that, suddenly from the pressure ulcer diabetic patient, how to move, transport to a
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
another
Yeah, there is some common interest areas there. Thank you very much, and all the best.
I have a question. I'm not sure if you have the time, but just in case.
I can, second.
Okay. I was curious what the training process for your model looks like. Both how much data do you need to train your AI model, and for example, with food, if you have to do it specific training based on the product or produce, like fruit versus meat, or
Okay. So again, Rodney, it's very good question, and I know, but I'm a mechanical engineer. You remember? So, and then
right?
this is cyber world. Is totally I'm working with a qualified faculty who has the interest about that, and I have
Okay.
in my group. So that's the way. That means because I have a group, and that group, the person is working on a microwave spectroscopy.
Mm.
Okay, and the project is funded by NIH, and the goal is the pressure ulcer when it's going to be from simple skin, when it moves to be when it turned to be a pressure ulcer skin. Okay, so if you said, okay, what is it, how we are now, where is the AI data is going to come over there? Okay, so if I try to understand, trying to frame out, because that's how we wrote, that a regular our skin has a specific characteristics properties there. Okay, so and those the data we are trying to from our spectroscopy, we just try to put our cyber layer. Okay, and already we know that a skin which is already pressure ulcer, that is some of the data point is already in the system cyber model data is already established, and we have those data clinically found from the hospital. So as soon as our data, that means we are generating, if we see that from our model is going to matching with those things, predictive model, or verified one, that's how we are going to build our algorithm AI model. Does it make sense?
Okay, yeah, I think so. Thank you.
But again, how that algorithm is going to be developed, this is not. That's why you remember there is a chart. That means I'm collaborating with my limitation is that I'm going to just design my material selection. Remember, there is a material selection part there.
Right.
That's my part only. Just that small part is my there.
Okay, thanks.
Swapnil, do you have a question? Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes. So my major concern about like these smart devices that we have, like I know many other fields within the medical side, like, and also in the mechanical area where, like you said, the spectroscopy, and we want to make a handheld device. So I think a major challenge that I see is, like you said in the last slide, that the benefit would be like the cost reduction of it. But as of now, like the way I see it is, all the smart appliances that we see are usually expensive than their regular counterparts. So, like, how do you see that challenge being tackled?
Okay, so if I just look into this, okay, so think about just the example of the gangrene, because right now this is the point I'm working with kindly so it is a matter of a decision. Okay, you said the cost is the issue. I'm going to say that no, cost is not going to be issue. Okay, because again, for the R&D and all those things, getting all the approval, that's how that cost of this system got increased. But let's talk about the benefit. Whenever a regular skin turns to a gangrene skin or gangrene for a particularly diabetic patient, it happens within 24 hours. What is the consequence? You have to cut your leg. So just look into the benefit. You are losing your entire life, mobility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So again, the same kinds of example you can give it to rest of the cases. Okay. Again, those are the different application I showed you, not only medical, because you guys, the reason that means I showed all this application is that some of you coming from different areas. But again, medical line is the, you can sense that. That is why these things, because FDA approval, regulation, and all those things, R&D, why cost is getting so high? That's the reason costing, because there are a lot of R&D is involved there, and
Oh, so basically, like, it's more than the absolute cost. It's like you are comparing the cost to benefit
yes.
of
So
the,
again,
like.
those things actually ultimately those new mesh in smart devices you are seeing Costco or something like that, they if there is a they are it's supposed to go down in future whenever it is established or something like that. But right now, initially, whenever most of them is coming from they're investing a lot of money for that and to try to get back that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think like we were discussing with mass production, and
Yeah.
the more people buy it, then probably the cost
More,
will
not
go
only mass
down.
production, scalable. So that's why different application, whenever you go and try to you know get a product in the market, another thing is that your product cannot be only on one specific field can be applicable. It needs to be scalable. Normally they start with a specific target one, but whenever you start talking about they put the product into the market, it comes that, hey, your product can is scalable. It can you develop a spectroscopy or something. It can be applicable of different kinds of sectors out there. No. Okay.
Hmm.
Again, I know that there is you need to do some kinds of tweaking or something like that, but again, it requires. Again, it's a little bit side divert from your original question, is that, hey, why it is so expensive? I'm saying that, okay, this is expensive because most of the product, I feel that it's new product. They try,
Hmm.
try to generate the money, and right now it's a new, so they try to take out cost as before a new technology come and get so they
Yeah.
try to take out all this money from their investment.
So I want to build on what Swapnil has said and actually push back to what you're talking about. You're looking at a cyber physical social system. The cost that you're talking about is for the physical portion. But when you have the social side, how do you measure cost? I mean, it's impossible.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
so
impossible.
so in essence, if you are really talking about a cyber physical social system, you have to have metrics for each of them.
Yeah.
And so coming along and saying you have to consider the value or the cost benefit ratio that comes from utility theory.
Yep.
That is being debunked. Okay, so what people are looking at are different types of capital. So they say economic capital is one of them, social capital is another one, sustainability is another one, etc., etc. There are 8 different types of capital. And depending on which domain you're in, you will use that type of capital. So being able to formulate what that capital is and how you use it becomes important. So you cannot do what you're suggesting, that is move it into the market, because you can't measure social capital. You have nothing. You only talk about economics. And what most people do is they come up with a fudge factor to come up with the social capital. Now, that fudge factor is something that deals with synthetic data. It's synthetic data. There's no way in which you can come along in the future and say, this is what the cost is going to be. So the idea of verifying and validating synthetic data is very important. And synthetic data, this generative AI can be used to generate synthetic data. It is not just in the product domain, but it is in the data domain that you can use generative AI to make it happen. So that's my comment too.
Yeah, I agree completely. I agree. Somebody needs to do that analysis. I am working right now. If you said, okay, where you are working? I'm working on a physical domain. I mean, I am not working on the AI domain or social domain or something like that. I'm actually basic research or R&D domain. Physical domain I'm working right now. I try to show all the ways.
Yes, but the thing here is that if you're able to create the physical portion, for example, progress is measured on materials. It is only because we are able to come up with new materials that we're able to come up with smart products or this product or that product or the other product. So at the very core of this is designing materials, whether it's electrical, using electronics, whatever it is. Given that you've designed the material and the product, then you can think in terms of going from putting this thing together in the form of matter, energy, and information. All systems that you're talking about have matter, energy, and information. And if you're able to come up with a mapping of matter, energy, and information for the product and the process, then you make progress. So that's my two-penny contribution.
Thank you, Dr. Mistry. Okay.
Right, we were back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Mistry. Does anyone have any other questions? My questions were on the line of what everyone asked, and like I am very thankful for this insightful discussion. But I believe in anyone who has like questions can. I believe that Dr. Khandaker will welcome all questions. You can like reach out to him. Um, but yeah, if like there are no further questions, I believe like we can wrap up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me, and Dr. Mistry, good luck for your recovery. I'll talk to you later, all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you.